Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Aaron Hemingway, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me this evening. What I'm going to be talking about is positive behavior interventions for children. If you're a teacher, then you've come to the right place. If you're a parent and you want to know more about how you can help to improve your child's behavior, then you come to the right place. So, I must admit, this is my first time ever doing a Facebook Live, so I am a little bit, nervous and a little concerned just about the technicalities of everything. It's so stressful knowing that if you make a mistake on here, there's no way to edit it out when people are watching, so that's a little weird in of itself. But I know that you can go back and edit the video, after you're done and everything, but in the moment, man, I don't know how people on the news do this on a regular basis. But anyway, let me see if I'm able to share my screen, so give me 1 second. Alright. Apparently I am not able to share my screen on here. So, I did have a PowerPoint and everything that I was going to go off of, and I did have a video that I was going to share that I filmed with my daughter, but once this live video is over, I'll probably just go ahead and edit it in and everything, and then put everything together in one nicely packaged package, including the PowerPoint and everything, so you guys can kind of follow along with this and everything. So let me go ahead and just jump into it. So the question is, why positive behavior interventions for anybody really, but again, in this situation we're talking about kids. And it's just, I've learned from the past that it's so easy to tell kids, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And yeah, I mean, in the moment it works, but you're not teaching them anything. You're not helping them to get better. You're not teaching them to improve their behavior. You're not giving them reasons why. You're not giving them motives. Because if you think about it, we're all motivated by something. For all of us that work, I know for me personally, I love my job. I love what I do. I love working with kids, especially kids with special needs. But when it comes down to it, at the very end of the day, a big motivator for me, for going to work, and let's be honest, is the paycheck that comes with it. Because what does the paycheck get us? It gets us food, it gets us, entertainment, it gets us time to be able to spend with our family. Not that you need money for that, but say you want to go to the movies, or you want to go bowling, or just stuff like that. So that is a huge motivator for us as adults to, get a job, go to work. It's money. So the same thing is true when we come alongside of kids and we teach them and we want them to improve their behavior. As much as we just wish that it would happen organically, the truth is that we need to help motivate them to want to change, to want to improve their behavior over time. And so as parents and as educators, we want the best for our children and for our students. A good parent, a good teacher is always going to want that. We want to teach our children what we want them to do, and we want to teach them what is right in this life. We want to teach them the good things from the bad things, things that we should do, things that we shouldn't do. We want to teach them what is right. We want to show our children that we dislike their behavior while we still show them that we love them. It can be so easy to just get caught up in the moment, especially when you're so angry about something that your kid may have done, and you don't explicitly say, hey, I hate you, child, but you do in the moment, you get frustrated with them, and a lot of times that comes off as, maybe, hey kid, I don't like you right now. So if at all possible, when possible, it should be possible to help your child to continue to feel loved while showing them that you dislike their behavior. And then finally, why positive behavior interventions? Well, everything that I just mentioned, we can achieve all of the above that I just mentioned through consistency and through positive reinforcement. And so my first suggestion is you need to praise them for specific behaviors. And what that means is that, first off, you need to pick your battles. You know, your kid or your student might do X, Y, and Z that you don't like or that you want them to improve upon. Just start with, X. Work on that before you add Y onto it. Work on that before you add Z onto it. You can't win the war if you're fighting multiple battles at once. And honestly, with our kids, it's a lifelong process that we're going to be going through with them. So pick your battles. And again, praising for specific behaviors. Whenever they display the appropriate behavior, we want to instantly reward them. And then make sure that when we reward them, we tell them the specific reason why we are rewarding them. So let's say that you have a child that has a really hard time remembering to pick up his or her clothes. You can, or when they do that, when you teach them, hey Johnny, pick up your clothes, make sure that when they do it, you reinforce them by saying, you know what, Johnny, I really like how you picked up your clothes. That's awesome, great job. And then, reward them with something that they like. Maybe it is just verbal praise that they like. Maybe they love getting the attention and the appreciation from their parents. Same thing for teachers within the classroom. I work with, like I said, I work with students that have special needs. And so a lot of times, there are days when it's like, you want to pull your hair out. But at the same time, you need to remember that not only do they have a disability, but they're kids as well. And kids will be kids. And, there are certain, things that they do that you don't like, that you want them to improve their behavior on. So make sure that you are reinforcing their positive behavior. Make sure you're praising them for that specific behavior that you're wanting them to improve upon. Reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. Consistency is key. If you are inconsistent with reinforcing your child, then your child's behavior is going to be inconsistent in improving. So it's going to take a lot longer, it's going to be more of a battle, it's going to be frustrating, it's going to be difficult. And that's not to say that it's going to be difficult, that it's not going to be difficult even if you are consistent. But consistency is key. When your child or when your student displays the appropriate behavior that you want them to, reinforce them immediately. And if it's not possible to reinforce them in that moment, like, I don't know, let's say getting them to sit for a certain time, you're with your child, you're sitting in a church, like, you don't want to be like, woo, good job, Johnny, I really like how you're sitting here, praising Jesus. The pastor's going to give you a really funny look if you start doing that in the middle of a service. So I say that because you want to make sure that if you're not able to reinforce them in the moment or reward them in the moment, make sure that you at least verbally reinforce them by, just kind of whispering like, hey, you're doing an awesome job, keep it up. And then reward them when you are able to. So like when you get home or when you get in the car. Like, for example, let's say that little Johnny, his favorite reward is having a sucker. So when you get out of church, you get in the car, carry them in your purse, or dad's your man satchel or your pockets or whatever, and make sure that you are just reinforcing all the time, reinforcing that specific behavior. Spend more time praising and reinforcing good behavior. Let me ask you a question. Do you say, hey, don't do that, more than you say, hey, you know what, good job, awesome job? We all fall into it. It's the truth. Like, in the moment, especially, emotions are running high, you're going to be, hey, don't do that, stop, what are you doing, what were you thinking? But you need to ask yourself, and you need to practice, and you need to get better at reinforcing more than you are correcting. Spend more time praising and reinforcing good behavior. So I have a list of suggested reinforcements. Again, this is my first live video I've ever done, so I don't know once it's done if I'm able to go in and type in some of the reinforcers that I'm suggesting. But if that's not the case, you may want to pause this video once it's done being live and write down some of these. So some suggested reinforcers or suggested rewards. Giving them X amount of minutes of screen time. We live at the digital age where kids, I swear, when they're born, they pop out with the ability to, control an iPad or control a smartphone. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it is amazing. Especially like some of my students, some of my more severe students, to be able to see them, like they can't write their name, but boy, they can sure navigate their way around the iPad, and it's amazing to see that. So to reinforce positive behavior, give them X amount of minutes of screen time if that's something that they absolutely love. Whether that be the iPad, whether that be the TV, maybe it's computer, maybe it's video games, just something along those lines. Maybe your kid is driven by food. And you got to obviously be very, very careful with this because you don't want to be feeding them, junk left and right. However, for snacks, you can give them Oreos, Goldfish, just stuff like that. Like going back to my Johnny example, I know that my kids really, really love suckers, like the ones that are from Trader Joe's, which are bomb, by the way. Huge suggestion there. But, just something like that, something that they like. My son really likes apples, and fortunately that's a healthy snack that I don't really have to worry about how many apples he eats until, he hits the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my goodness, the juice from that apple is really working. Yeah, but anyway, maybe your kid loves books. I have a student right now that she loves reading. Absolutely loves reading. So she works for some free time to be able to read out of her book. Or maybe if you have younger children, like I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, being able to just take them, pull them aside, and read a book to them. Or maybe they like looking at the pictures, just, anything of that nature. And then finally, just giving them X amounts or X minutes of free time. And for classroom teachers, I know you know what this is, having them pick from different activities, like a puzzle or something. But basically when I say free time, I just mean something that's that I haven't mentioned on this list already. Alright. There's also some daily factors you can use to reduce inappropriate behaviors. And that is, as much as possible in the home, having a structured environment. In a classroom, obviously it's a lot easier to have a structured environment, but if you're a teacher and you have poor classroom management skills, you'll probably notice that your students are more likely to exhibit inappropriate behaviors. Like I know when I was in school especially, and we would have a sub that day and the sub would just throw on a movie, kids were more likely to get in trouble, not to mention being disrespectful to the sub because they were a sub, but, just doing stuff like that, making sure that you have a structured environment. It's going to cut down on the behaviors big time. Also, when possible, having a predictable schedule. Again, in the classroom, this is a must. Having a schedule, knowing what you're doing, when you're doing it, is obviously part of teaching. But at home, it's a lot looser. And so, being able to have a predictable schedule in the home, even if it's a loose schedule, like, hey, you wake up, you eat breakfast, you get to watch TV for a little bit, and then, you need to go, practice writing your letters or something, and then after that, doing something else. So just, something along those lines, just being able to have something that is predictable, especially if you have a kid that really struggles with demonstrating appropriate behaviors. You also want to take into account possible sensory needs, and what I mean by that is that's a whole video for another time. But basically, when I say sensory, I'm talking like maybe you're listening to music and it's too loud for your kid. Like maybe they are hypersensitive to noise, or they get visually overstimulated by certain things. So just stuff like that. Making sure that you're taking into account their sensory needs and not just blowing them off as them being a brat. Also, making sure that your kid has a healthy diet and exercises regularly. I know this one is probably the hardest, especially going back to my list of reinforcements, having goldfish, having Oreos. It's like, that's junk food right there. But being able to make sure that your child is having a consistently healthy diet, that really cuts down on behaviors, because it also improves on mental health symptoms as well. It can improve, signs of depression and stuff like that just by eating better. It's amazing the difference that food makes in our life, whether it be, good food or fast food as well. I just adjusted, so let me make sure that I'm still in the frame here. Yes, I am. Awesome. Okay. Make sure that you're also spending time with your children on a daily basis, whatever that means for you and your family. And then for teachers too, make sure that outside of the instructional time that you're engaging with your students, getting to know them, getting to know their story, what they like, what they don't like, just stuff like that. Make sure that you're spending time with them, because a lot of times that means the world to kids. Knowing that you care about them, knowing that you care enough to spend time with them and to ask questions and to get to know them, that seriously can mean the world to them, especially if they come from a broken home where they're tossed around like a piece of trash. And that goes along with my next point, which is to just be present and to be understanding. Know that kids are kids, and they all come from different backgrounds and different cultures, and it's just important to be sensitive and understanding to those things. And then for you as a parent or as a teacher, when possible, tag out or take a break. It's for me, it's hard to admit that I do get angry sometimes, or that I need a break, or that I need help. That's just part of my prideful heart, and sometimes it is so hard for me to acknowledge that I do need help. So, in situations like that, like at home, if you're with your spouse, hey, the kid's driving me nuts, I really need a break right now. So tag out in that way. Same thing in the classroom, like, hey, I need to go outside, take a 2-minute break, and then I'll be ready to come back in. So do those things as well. Take care of yourself, because if you're taking care of yourself, then you're going to be able to do a good job at taking care of your students and to deal with challenging behavior. Correct with compassion. Never, ever, 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 ever call a child an inappropriate name. Growing up is so difficult, especially, nowadays. Being called names, wanting to earn the acceptance of your peers, just things like that. Never call a child dumb, stupid, worthless, anything like that. It hurts them, and it stings so much more than you could ever imagine. Another thing is when a student or your child makes a mistake or exhibits inappropriate behavior, don't just give them a lecture, but have them guide you through what they did wrong and how they can do better next time, how they can improve on that behavior. Being proactive, making a plan, helping them to make better decisions next time. Convict them, but don't condemn them. Make sure you are helping them, but don't make them feel stupid. Don't call them stupid as you go along this journey with them. And finally, allow kids to be kids. Again, like I said earlier, pick your battles. Not everything needs to be a battle. Ignore or, don't put as much emphasis on those mild behaviors, the things that are more annoying than anything. Pick your battles, and again, praise your kids, your students, for specific behaviors. Kids are kids, and they cannot be expected to act like adults. I feel like sometimes, like we, especially in this fast-paced society, in school, we want kids to learn, which they absolutely should. That's why they're in school. That's why they're there. That's why they're under your care in your house. That's why you're their parent. But give them time to play. Give them time to make mistakes. Allow them to exhibit those behaviors that drive you insane. Allow them to watch those TV shows that are annoying to you as long as they're appropriate. But allow kids to be kids. Don't rob them of that just because you, as a parent, find whatever they're into or whatever they're doing annoying. They're still learning. Kids are always learning. Even as adults, we're always learning. It's a lifelong process. And it's something that we're always going to be working on. There's always something that we're going to want to do better or to change about ourselves. It's a lifelong process, and remember that for your kids. Ask yourself, is their behavior wrong, or is it just annoying you? Remember what I talked about earlier with the TV shows, with the minor behaviors. Is it wrong, or is it just annoying? Because if it's wrong, definitely correct it, and then praise them for doing the right thing. But if it's annoying, you need to check your own heart and your own motives. Remember, you went into this profession as a teacher, or you became a parent, or both, for a reason. And that is because you love kids. Don't ever forget your passion that you have as a parent, or your passion as you have as a teacher. The days can get very weary. It seems like it can get, you can get so easily caught up in the day-to-day and the humdrum of everything. But don't forget that don't forget your passion. Don't forget why you wanted to be a teacher or why you wanted to have kids. It's so important to go back to our why, just to remind ourselves of things like that. If you have a child that is struggling, that is getting into trouble more often than not, don't give up. Don't leave them. When I say leave them, I don't mean just dump them on the street, but don't leave them emotionally. Don't give up, because you can do it. Reach out for help. I know for me, like I said earlier, I have a very prideful heart, but it's okay. You can ask for help. It doesn't make you any less of a person. For me, it doesn't make me any less of a man. For moms, doesn't make you any less of a mom. Ask for help when you need it. We're all here together. We're a community of people that should be helping one another. Oh, and another thing too that I didn't write down necessarily, but with your kids, make sure that you're modeling forgiveness for them by, saying, "Hey Johnny, I'm so sorry that I yelled at you that way. That should have never happened. I lost my patience and it happens." Because kids, when they see that, they know that you make mistakes too, that you're not perfect, and it helps lower that standard for them. It doesn't necessarily make you the standard where they need to live up to your expectations. Although, they obviously should strive, and you should help them to strive to be the best, kid, friend, family member possible. But, you're going to make mistakes. You're human. You're not perfect. I'm human. I'm not perfect. And so, yeah, I hope that this was all helpful as you join me here. Thank you so much. Again, this is my first live video that I've ever done, so just with a little technical, if there's any technical difficulties or anything, I really appreciate you bearing with me and joining me, and I hope to be able to do more live videos like this in the future, and to just save them and then post them and be able to edit them. Like I said, I do have a PowerPoint to go along with this. I do have a funny little sketch video that me and Isley made about demonstrating inappropriate behaviors, and yeah, it's great. So I'm really hoping that I'm able to edit that into here. But anyway, for all of you that joined me, thank you so much. If you're watching this video, after the fact, after it's gone live, thank you so much for, checking in and listening. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment on this thing, and I'll get back to you, and let's start a conversation, and be here for each other and be here for our kids. If you haven't done so already, obviously, if you're watching this right now, you are subscribed to my Facebook page, but please go like me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Hemingway's class, Hemingway with one M. And then also on YouTube, follow me. Just look up Aaron Hemingway, and I'm on there. And then follow me on Twitter as well. My handle is also Hemingway's class. Alright guys, thank you so much, and I will talk to you later. Have an awesome evening. Bye.